Manchester United versus Manchester City is never just a derby. It's a stress test. We all know this. You stress yourself, you stress the baby, you stress your partner, you stress every single person that is watching if you're supporting City or you're supporting Man United. For the most part, the stress is on Manchester United side and not City side. But the fact is, it's a stress test. It's a test of ideas, a test of bravery, a test of clarity. And this time, the biggest question isn't about effort or desire. It is, can United both start Amad Diallo and Bryan Mbeumo against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and survive? Not just survive, but thrive and actually beat City. Because that's why you see in the thumbnail, can this beat City? That's the question. You understand? Many people would hear this and think, oh, this is too risky. It is too open. It's too soft defensively. We have too many attackers on the pitch for us to be able to defeat City. But what if I told you that there were multiple ways to make this work? It's about make this work without sacrificing structure. What if I told you that? And that is what we are going to be focusing on today. Today we are going to be digging deep on formations, roles, pressing logic, and why this isn't reckless, but it's intentional. You get me? By the end of the day, you will see how this ties into a direct situation of how we can defeat Manchester City on Saturday. That's going to be a big game. But of course, this is also a Manchester United versus Manchester City preview. So without further ado, let's get this party started. Let's go. First things first, before we talk about Manchester United, we need to understand the opponent. We need to understand what Manchester City do, how Pep Guardiola have sculptured them into a different beast at this point in time. Because they don't just play one formation. This is a team that based on patterns. And even though Anton Semenyo came into the team, he is able to slot into situations seamlessly. When it comes to big teams and City playing against the so-called top big six, what City play is they build up with a base of 3 and 2 in the base. They push their interiors very high. So of course we know Doku and Ryan Cherokee. They create a box in the midfield. We know that. That's why you have the 2 in the back and then the 2 in the front. That's a box. We all know this. They overload the central zones. It's critical, clear. It's really clear. That is how they dominate the ball and they dominate football in general. They force you to collapse inward and then they push you out wide. And through that and through the half spaces, City will absolutely punish you. And of course, we know that they are not scared of the width. They can take the ball right to Ryan Cherokee and you have the underruns and the overruns. You have everything in Manchester City's side. They fear though. This is one thing that they absolutely fear, and we need to absolutely look at this and see that we have an opportunity here. They fear clean progression between their midfield and their defense. Anybody that can carry the ball and run through the midfield and the defense is absolutely a threat to Manchester City. We have seen it with Aston Villa and Morgan Rogers. We have seen it with Chelsea and Pedro Neto and all those guys. We have also seen it when we had the opportunity with, Amad. And that is why the core of this video is how can we utilize Amad and Bryan Mbeumo in order for us to defeat Manchester City. Now the key part about this is if you play them in the same role, you do not get the best of them. I know in this system, and the system is definitely going to be the 4-2-3-1. We know that for a fact. The reason why it is a little bit skeptical in what we are looking at here is that if you put Mbeumo and Amad on that right-hand side, let's say you're playing Amad as a fullback, in order for you to get overlaps and underlap, and I've seen some of the YouTubers actually suggest this. I do not believe that would be the best way to go about it. The reason why everybody was an uproar about Ahmad playing in that position is because we believe that Ahmad can actually do more. He is that talented and could actually be more of a danger, more of a threat to the opposition if he's close to the post. And that is why today I'm going to be breaking it down on how we can utilize both of them in this team. First things first, Ahmad and Mbeumo cannot be touchline wingers in this situation. Playing both of them, either on the left or the right hand side, is not going to get the best out of both. Mbeumo is going to do great on the right hand side, and I know that for a fact because he has shown us that he can actually play that position at Brentford. However, playing Ahmad in that touchline position, you are going to be playing him against who is playing the right back for Manchester City, if I'm not mistaken. Let me find out. But I don't think that also helps him. You get? I don't think it also helps him because he's going to be facing Nunes and Kozanov. I don't think that helps him. I think we need to get Ahmad into a position that he would be able to dominate in that sense. You understand? Dominate in that sense. And that is where, if you play both of them, you lose control. You neuter both players, and I do not want it to be so. How we'll make it work is by making one a connector and making one a runner. Bryan Mbeumo, his best attribute is him running in behind. We all know that. Ahmad, we have seen his best attribute, and that is in tight spaces. That is in the middle of the park, for crying out loud. We saw what he did at AFCON and how he was able to dominate when he is out wide. But the key part about that situation is that he was playing in the half spaces on the right hand side. If you look back a little bit of what Ahmad did at Sunderland, I believe, that is where you see the brilliance of Ahmad. Ahmad being able to be in that central role, take on players, sit in the half spaces and just dominate football matches. That is what we are going to be doing with Ahmad in this situation. So when you're looking at the player profiles between Ahmad and Mbeumo, the key part about this is that Ahmad is elite in tight spaces. Ahmad plays beautiful between the lines as a receiver. His first touch always breaks the pressure. He's a decision maker in the zone 14. If you guys don't know what the zone 14 is, it's basically the final third. He is a very good decision maker in that situation. And then if you look at Bryan Mbeumo, an explosive runner, comfortable on the inside right of the opposition, press resistant and arrives in the box aggressively. The solution isn't choosing one over the other, because that is also another option. But against City, we want to put them to the sword. That is what we want. Last game, we came out of the Etihad with 3 on our head. So we want to punish them, and it is Manchester DNA through and through. It's assessing the different jobs in the same plan. That is what we want to do. And that is what we are going to be talking about in this situation right now. So first things first, when you're looking at how we are going to be able to attack Manchester City, is control and counter. Play the football that we want to play by controlling the midfield, but City are obviously going to have majority of the possession, and that is where counter comes into play. It is the safest and high level solution that I can provide in going against City, and that would be, in my mind, you have to look at Bryan Mbeumo as the right winger. You understand? And then in the number 10 position, you look at Ahmad. That is the way I see it. Of course, the left wing position is going to be the runner and the carrier, who is already Matheus Cunha. In the striker position, it is going to be Benjamin Šeško. And in the double pivot, behind them is going to be Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. That is what I'm going to put. And of course, you can see it here in our, in our breakdown. You get me? In our breakdown, it's quite simple. It's quite simple. We have Benjamin Šeško here. Right? Ready to do all the jobs that we expect him to do. We have Matheus Cunha right there. Perfect, ready to do his job. We have Ahmad in the number 10. We have Bryan Mbeumo in the number 7 or the right wing, if you want to call it that. We have Bruno Fernandes on the left-hand side and Casemiro on the right-hand side. This right here is the way I want us to be able to then build in this system, because this is why it works. It works because you overload City's weak zone, which is the space behind the midfield box. If you can overload that with the best technical players in Ahmad and Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, then you're doing a good job. Second, you create a right side triangle. It is very simple. The right side triangle, Casemiro, Mbeumo, and Ahmad. You create that triangle, and the left hand triangle is Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, and Ahmad. You create that triangle, and then you are absolutely hurting them in a very, very tough position. And when you create that situation, it is perfect for beating City in the first press. It is perfect for that. You have Ahmad that knows how to press. You have Mbeumo that knows how to press. Benjamin Sesko that is absolutely rapid and can cover a lot of spaces. And Matheus Cunha just being the person that doesn't let things out, because Matheus Cunha is not as good as pressing as it is. But then in the back line you have Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. And the third one is out of possession. This situation can then turn into a 4-4-2 quite easy. It can turn into a 4-4-2 quite easy. And that right there is where you see the brilliance coming out of this system. It is not passive football. It is basically disciplined aggression. We need to be disciplined in order for us not to let them score, but we need to be aggressive when we have the ball. It's quite simple as that. Ahmad stays high enough to hurt them, and Mbeumo does the dirty work. He does the dirty work on the right hand side. And those are the key parts. Those right there are the key parts. Now, for Manchester United, it is quite important that we utilize the half spaces. The half spaces are absolutely crucial for us to do. If we can utilize that, we would absolutely dominate. And those half spaces are basically the spaces between the defense and the midfield. It's crystal clear. For this, managers would want maximum structure without killing the creativity. Of course, we have a back shape of a back three. That's kind of what we'll see. Wing back would be provided with the likes of Dogu and Dalo. Those are the things that we would see the domination going forward. One central striker in Benjamin Sesko. Why does this hurt City? City's rest defense invites pressure between the lines. And if we can understand that and be fine in living in that situation, if we can live in there, we would absolutely dominate the situation. We would absolutely dominate the situation. And that right there is going to be crucial about this. Do not use Ahmad as a wing back in this game. Do not use Ahmad as a fullback in this game. I think they will dominate Ahmad, because Ahmad going against Doku is just suicide. It's just waiting for trouble. And then the good one about this situation is that we can also then switch this whole 4-2-3-1 into a 4-4-2 situation. You Pep-proof the middle of the park. You can do that too. You use Mbeumo as the second striker. You get me? Use Mbeumo as the second striker. And if I can actually get this going, but you use Mbeumo as a second striker. And when you use Mbeumo as a second striker, it becomes really easy. It becomes really easy. Let's say, for instance, Mbeumo goes over here. Let's see, let me get this right. Mbeumo goes over here, right? Mbeumo goes over there. And then Ahmad basically comes right here. What you then have in this situation is that you have a 4-4-2. You have a 4-4-2 that is able to overload this box right here. And if you can overload that box, you are absolutely in a perfect position to not only be structurally hard to break down, but also very, very aggressive in hitting them on the counter. So this is the reason why I say playing Ahmad and Mbeumo in this game would absolutely make us in the best position to defeat Manchester City. Now, a lot of people can say, oh, you're bringing back Bruno Fernandes in this position. Why would you put Bruno Fernandes in that position? The truth about it is that our best deep line playmaker is Bruno Fernandes. Kobbie Mainoo is really good at short passes, is really good at line breaking passes. But when you're talking about Bruno Fernandes, someone that is arguably the best midfielder in the Premier League, those passes that can go to this position here, where we would want Bryan Mbeumo to occupy, or the position here where we would want Cunha to be going into half spaces. If I'm not getting this right, I'm so sorry. Going into these half spaces, that is where you see the domination of what I believe the deep line role of Bruno Fernandes would absolutely dominate at. And then we have Casemiro here. Being that Casemiro doesn't have the legs to cover the spaces that we want him to cover, he then becomes the general, right? He becomes the general that is in charge of mopping up anything in front, anything in the half space between our defense and our midfield. That right there is what we see in this situation. And then if we are going into a 4-4-2 kind of situation, then you have the ability of Amad going over here to where Mbeumo is. You have Mbeumo going over here to become a second striker. And then when you have a second striker as Mbeumo, I believe Mbeumo's number is whatever the number is. But Mbeumo in that position, what you don't have in this situation is that you have an overload in the midfield and what would feel like a very devastating for the two centre backs. You have very quick, very crucial, and very creative in Mbeumo, and then you have physical threat in Benjamin Šeško. Those are what you would absolutely love in this situation. You would absolutely love this in this situation. And so that's the key part about what we need to do here for Bryan Mbeumo and for us to defeat Manchester City. And if we can do that, we would absolutely dominate this game. Now, when it comes to instructions for the likes of Dalot and the likes of Dogu would become our threat moving forward. Dogu has the ability to move forward freely. I know Dalot loves this run. He loves the curves run that leads him to a position where, let's say, Bruno gets the ball and gives the ball directly to where Dalot is. But Dalot has shown us that when he gets to this position, it is very difficult for him to actually score. It's very difficult for him to actually score. And so we need to see how we can do our best in getting the right person in the right position. That would basically mean, instead of these curve runs coming from only Dalot, let's see how Dogu does the curve run. You understand? Does the curve runs when we have the opportunity, and see if Casemiro has the ability, or Mbeumo has the ability to get the ball directly to Dogu. Those key parts are the things that we can get the ball behind Kozunov and Elneny. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Manchester City right now, their defense is the weakest it has been. There is no Diaz, there is no Gvardiol, there is no John Stones. And so we have the opportunity to absolutely punish Manchester City. Anyway, instead of me talking too much about these tactics, let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section, because that is what we live for here on Pillar Sports. We want to know what you guys actually think about this. Now, the thing about this situation is, when they press, we need to understand and we need to be patient. Their rest defense isn't usually set when they are going back. And so it's crucial, because the people that they are going to have in the back line are young guys. They are young players and they are young, inexperienced players, and we need to attack them crucially. United's attacking pattern must be this. It must be very simple. It is regain, forward pass, third man run. That is the pattern. It has to be that. Amad with the first touch into danger if we have the situation, because Amad is very quick to get on his bike and get into the attacking positions with a second wave into the box, or you can do it the other way. Mbeumo with the first touch because he also has that brilliant first touch, and Amad as the second wave into the box. No slow recycling of the ball, no aimless possession. It has to be. Every transition must hurt City. Every transition must hurt City. And if we can do that, we win this game against Manchester City. It is crystal clear in my mind. You understand? When you zoom out of Manchester United versus Manchester City, this becomes clear. The derby isn't about outplaying City for 90 minutes. That is one thing that we can absolutely appreciate from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It is about choosing the right risk, protecting the middle, and being ruthless when the chances appear. Starting Ahmad and Mbeumo isn't reckless. It is a statement. It is a statement that we know where we are vulnerable, but we are brave enough to attack it. And that right there is the question for me. Is Michael Carrick going to do this? So this is the question. Would you rather control City's midfield and counter with intent, or go toe-to-toe and trust individual brilliance? And if you have to choose one of the formation to start Ahmad and Mbeumo in, what is the formation you're choosing? Is it the 4-2-3-1 that I mentioned, or the 4-4-2 that I also gave in there? So without further ado, drop it in the comments. Let me see what you guys say. And the best football takes, of course, will get pinned. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that follow button, and hit the subscribe button so you do not miss out on any of our tactical breakdowns in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.